which is why there's still, there's going to be that lingering effect for some time of the scandal and how it all unfolded. Going into some more sports action and some more playoffs, let's talk a little bit about NBA, the playoffs, and we'll dive into the finals a little bit as they're kicking off as well. First game is here. Lakers are going to be facing the Heat. But before we jump into that, news of the week, just coming out of the weekend, was Doc Rivers out as the head coach for the LA Clippers after 7 seasons, after they were defeated by the Denver Nuggets in a 3-1 outcome. They just were not able to push through and make it to the championship. That was their expectation. And they fell short. And oh boy, did they fall so short. All of this came down on Doc Rivers, which is not a surprise, but at the same time, it is a surprise. That loss to the Nuggets was a major factor in Doc Rivers leaving the organization. That championship was expected. It was upon their fingertips. Now that this has happened, what can we expect of the LA Clippers going into next season? Who's in line next to lead this team? And will they be able to bounce back into the playoffs? Make a possible championship run next season. Who's the right fit for that organization? What's next for Doc Rivers? There's just so many questions, and I don't know if we have answers to all of those. But for me, that's what came as me hearing the news of Doc Rivers, and for me, the effect before you answer, the effect that is going to take on those players, because Doc Rivers took on a major role. And he shaped that team. He had conversations with his players, meetings, these unrest that have taken over this year, how affected him and his team were. They all came together, unified, and just not only as a team, they came together as a family in so many ways. And one of the teams that displayed it the most, having Doc Rivers not there to lead this team in that aspect, and also coach, and what he was, how he was able to do it, and where he was able to take the team up to this season. How much more is that going to be kept together for the next head coach?
I was surprised, and I wasn't surprised, just like you, when the news came out about Doc Rivers. When you have a 3-1 series lead against the Denver Nuggets, and you're supposed to close this out. You're supposed to be one of the teams that are thought of as a championship type caliber team with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. You've got two of the best players to play this game. That's why you brought them to LA. That's why Kawhi won a championship last year with Toronto. He decided not to go to LA to play with LeBron. He wanted to go to the Clippers. He wanted to create his own legacy in Los Angeles by himself, not with LeBron. And that's why he lured Paul George to come to LA to play with the Clippers, to play with him. And he wanted to be with Doc Rivers because Doc is a very well-respected coach, a championship coach. He won a championship with the Boston Celtics. So he's got a pedigree. But it was so many different factors, Joe, so many things that went behind this Los Angeles Clippers season. With Paul George being hurt, it took a while for him to come into the lineup. I think there was an issue with chemistry. When you have two superstars like that, and they very rarely played at the beginning of the season, and then COVID hit, and then everything got shut down for months and months and months until the NBA decided to do this bubble situation in Orlando. Then when they get to Orlando, they were one of the teams that really didn't want to play in the bubble. If you remember that, they were one of the teams that voted to not actually play in the bubble. So their hearts weren't, they didn't actually decide that they wanted to play in the bubble, but they went. And then you had this situation with Lou Williams. And then Montrezl Harrell, I believe his grandmother died. So he had to leave the bubble and come back. So all these different pieces, all this different talent are coming and going at all these different times. So it is hard to create chemistry when everybody's not there at the same time. Everybody's not on the same page. Everybody's not believing in the same thing that Doc Rivers is trying to preach, because everybody's not there, and everybody's not there to bounce ideas off of each other and practice and bond together as brothers because everybody's in different situations. And it's hard to create a cohesive unit and fight for a championship when everybody's scattered in different directions and everybody's mind is different, everybody's body is different, everybody's mindset is different, and their belief system is different because they're not all together all the time in that bubble, which is why they are in the situation that they are in right now. But it's unfortunate for Doc Rivers, but there's good news on his front. From reports, it looks like the Philadelphia 76ers are pushing really hard for Doc Rivers for at least for an interview. And I think that would be a great move. I'm sure if we had Keith Pompey, our brother Keith Pompey on from the Philadelphia Inquirer, he would give us some news about that. But I think that would be a great move for Doc Rivers to go to Philadelphia so he can grow Joel Embiid. He can work with Ben Simmons and actually work on his shot so he can actually make some shots, make him a better player because Ben Simmons is a phenomenal talent, but he can't shoot. He can play defense, but he can't shoot, Joe. So I think if Doc Rivers goes to Philadelphia, that would be the best move for him. And I think that would be a great galvanizing thing for the organization to have a man of Doc Rivers' caliber with the Philadelphia 76ers with everything that's going on with him over the last decade or so. They need some stability in that organization. So Doc Rivers will be a great move there. As far as the Los Angeles Clippers, I think Ty Lue would be a great choice there, one of the assistant coaches. He's won a championship with the Cleveland Cavaliers. He's got championship pedigree as well, Joe. So why not interview Ty Lue? Why not give Ty Lue a shot? Why not interview Sam Cassell, another one of the highly regarded assistant coaches with the Los Angeles Clippers? We've heard his name bantered so many different times for head coaching vacancies, but he's never gotten a shot. So why not give Sam Cassell a shot as well to lead the Los Angeles Clippers into the future? You've got so much talent head coaching-wise, assistant coaching and head coaching-wise in your organization. So why even look outside of your organization? Keep these guys in-house. If that's what you want to do, if you want to continue to build the Los Angeles Clippers brand and organization and keep Kawhi and Paul George and all that talent there and keep everybody happy, and I know there's also reports probably being thrown out about CP3. Bring Chris Paul back. He would be another great addition to that team, wouldn't he, Joe?
He would be great. I don't know why he's not part of it.
Well, the Clippers would have to work out money because he's still getting paid a lot of money from the Oklahoma City Thunder. So they'd have to work out money and logistics and all those numbers. But Chris Paul would be a fantastic addition to that organization. He's exactly what they need to keep everybody together, mindset, and bring the Los Angeles Clippers where they should have been this year, at least in the Western Conference Finals against the Los Angeles Lakers.
Yeah. So much. So we'll see what happens here within the next several days. I agree with you. That would be great. And we had briefly talked about this yesterday when the news broke. I believe, was it yesterday? Yes. So yeah, with Doc Rivers going to the 76ers, that would be something great for the organization and for Doc and everything he's been able to do and hopefully be able to see the Sixers, to somewhat of what organization and the team that they were at one point.
And unfortunately, we all know that the NBA, sports is a business. It's a results-oriented business. And when you're 3-8 as a head coach in series clinching games with the Los Angeles Clippers and you can't take them any further past the second round, then some changes have to be made, even if it's Doc Rivers. It's all about winning and winning championships. And when you can only take an organization this far, you've got to make some moves and hopefully bring some new head coaching talent in there. And maybe that person can bring them this higher, at least this much higher, and that closer toward an NBA championship. And so, of course, the expectations were so high and everybody's hopes were dashed when they gave up that 3-1 lead against the Denver Nuggets. But the Clippers have nobody to blame but themselves. They should have closed that series out and played the Clippers played the Los Angeles Lakers in the Western Conference Finals, and maybe they would have gotten past the Lakers, and maybe we'd be talking about the Clippers and the Heat tomorrow night in the NBA Finals. But alas, it never came to be.
Yes. So, and that's what it all comes down to, is the money, like you said, in sports, organizations, that's where it comes down to, and expectation of winning. Those expectations are not met. That there's going to be changes coming along the way. We've seen it. We're seeing it. So that's where it doesn't become a surprise, but in other aspects, things do become a surprise, especially when these type of news hit. Speaking of expectations and winning, there are very high expectations as we go into the NBA Finals. Lakers, Heat. We have LeBron going against his previous team, Miami Heat. We have some rivalry there. It'll be the first championship series game that the Heat play without Wade. We have LeBron and company going against the Heat. Will they have what it takes? Will the Heat have what it takes to beat LeBron and the Lakers? Will the Lakers be able to continue that steam moving forward? So there's just so much. And LeBron is going into his 10th NBA Finals, the first for the Lakers since 2010. It's been a decade, 10 years. So this is just so, in so many ways, a highlight for the Lakers, with Kobe's passing earlier this year, LeBron coming into the Lakers, what he's been able to do this season, the integration of the players, the team, everyone involved. There's just so much behind it. I don't know what to expect out of this finals. There's going to be also that continued talk, and it comes up every year, and especially even more after LeBron gets to the finals. Who's better? LeBron, Jordan. I won't get into that. Not here, not today. So there's going to be a lot of hype. And what much more is LeBron going to be able to achieve in these finals? How much closer is he going to get to that next level in his career? There's a lot of pressure not only on each of these teams, but on LeBron and all of these other players. Who's going to be able to keep up with that pressure?
I think it's going to be a great series. You've got two of the best defensive teams, the Los Angeles Lakers and the Miami Heat. So there's going to be a defensive struggle. You're right. Who's going to be able to cover LeBron James? This young man, 15 years in the league. Has he been in the league that long?
I believe so, yeah.
I believe so, yeah. 35 years old, and he is still one of the best players on the planet, one of the best basketball players who have ever played this game. And now he's got Anthony Davis, another one of the great basketball players, and who on the Miami Heat will have to account for him and trying to stop Anthony Davis, because we know when he gets started, he's almost impossible to stop. And then you've got Dwight Howard, who's renewed his career in Los Angeles. He played so well in those last couple games against the Denver Nuggets when they were trying to close them out. He brought so much energy to that basketball court, and the way he affected Nikola Jokic was phenomenal. I was so impressed by Dwight and how he came in, and they even started him a couple times. So Frank Vogel believed that much in Dwight Howard that he said, okay, big fella, I see what you're doing out there. Let me go ahead and get you a couple starts here and see what you can do against the Joker. And he played so well in that series. And when you've got Rajon Rondo coming off the bench and Alex Caruso plays so well, and when Kyle Kuzma's hitting his shots and he's playing really well, those Los Angeles Lakers, they're hard to beat. And on the Miami Heat side, those guys play so well. They play team basketball better than almost anybody in the National Basketball Association. The way they they run their offense, and everybody's moving in so many different directions. You've got to account for every single player, whether it's Jimmy Butler or Bam Adebayo or Goran Dragic or coming off the bench Tyler Hero. All these guys, Duncan Robinson, all these guys can play basketball, and they can make shots, and they can play defense. So I don't think it's going to be a cakewalk for the Los Angeles Lakers if they win this championship. The Miami Heat are going to give them everything they can, and I wouldn't just give the championship to the Lakers. I think the Heat are going to give them a series. This could be a 6-game series depending on how the basketball bounces in all these games. The Miami Heat are not going to give up easily. They're not going to give this championship to the Lakers so easily if it's in the cards for the Lakers to win it.
Oh, no, I totally agree with you. It's just matchup of all matchups. Neither of these teams are going to go down easy. Just for all the players you just mentioned and for all the reasons. So we're in for a series. Buckle up. I want to see how far this goes. I call it that it's going to go. I would not be surprised if it goes 7 games, but I believe it's probably going to end in 6.